today I have swatches of these Sally Hansen Jelly Belly Insta-Dry collaboration polishes. There are 11 polishes here, which is kind of a weird number. My friend Amanda, whose channel I will link down below, found these at a Christmas tree shop, which I don't even have any of those around me, very, very early on, like maybe a month ago now. I just saw these in my Meijer store in my town last week. So these are popping up a little bit as we get, I feel like the Christmas tree shop put them out like really, really early, and now they're just starting to pop up. Can't find these now, you should be able to find them relatively soon. So 11 polishes all together, and I will get into the swatches. Okay, so the first polish is called Coconut, and this is a white. It is, now I don't know if I'm like imagining this because it's called Coconut, but it is like just, it looks just slightly off-white to me. Let me actually get like a white and just see. Unrelated, but holy cow, the Crayola polish really separated. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's like slightly, I'm going to try to cut that ugly part out because this needs a good shake, but it's like slightly off-white. So now that I got that Crayola white out, I'm really comparing this one to it. This is a bit more sheer than that. It's not that like stark, super opaque white, and this does have a few streaks. They do level themselves out a little bit, but it is still fairly streaky. The Insta-Dry polishes, I don't think I've ever swatched any of them on video before. They do have this wide brush that works pretty well for most of my nails. I always have a hard time with wider brushes on my pinky finger. And formula on this one is pretty good. It does feel a little bit thin, like it might run to the sides of the nail a bit if I did too thin of a coat, but overall it's not terrible. A weird smell to them. Whoa, I dropped the brush on my pants. Monday. The Insta-Dry polishes also have kind of a weird smell to them. I always want to say that they smell like Play-Doh, even though I don't think that's what Play-Doh smells like. That's the only thing that I can think of. So this one is still a bit streaky on that first coat. I think if this, I don't know why I'm getting so close to my cuticle now. If this were a little bit more opaque of a white, I don't think I would have this issue, but I think it is meant to be a little bit more sheer and not, I guess, almost jelly-like. So there are still some streaks here, so I'm going to need a third coat, and this does seem to dry pretty shiny. So I'm going to try to cover up some of those streaks with a third coat, which seems to be working decently. With that third coat, you do even get a little bit more, I don't want to say more opaque of a color, but just like a better off-white color. I guess it still looks a little bit dull on the first and second coat because they are still a little bit sheer. So that is 3 coats of Coconut. The next polish is called Bubblegum, and this is a bright pink cream. So this one is also a bit streaky on that first coat, but not super sheer. And same formula on this one as the last one. It feels pretty good, but I do think it could have run a bit if you did too thin of a coat. Too thick of a coat. That's what I meant to say. So I've gotten pretty used to polishes drying a bit more sheer than they apply, but this one really didn't seem to do that on the first coat. Right now it's looking pretty good on the second coat. I feel like there are a couple spots that kind of look like streaks that might become a little bit more apparent as it settles, so I'm going to let it dry completely before I decide whether it needs a third. Okay, so this has dried all the way. I think it is very close to needing a third coat. I'm not going to put a third coat on it because I think it's passable for me, but this is one that I'm going to call a 2 to 3 coater, just depending on your preference, because this is very close to needing that third. So that is 2 coats of Bubblegum. The next polish is called Island Punch, and this is a kind of dusty purple shade. So this one covers pretty well on that first coat. It doesn't look super streaky at all. Maybe like a little tiny bit sheer. It's definitely going to need 2 coats, but it does cover pretty well. The formula feels a little bit better on this one as well. Just slightly thicker, I think, than the last couple of polishes were, so it doesn't feel as unruly. So this one is looking pretty good on 2 coats. I think I'm going to say it's going to cover completely. It deepens the color a bit. There are pretty much no streaks, no nail lines showing. I don't even think this could dry sheer enough to make it need a third coat. So that is 2 coats of Island Punch. Okay, so now I'm going to do the Crellies before I get into the darker shades of creams. So the first Crelly is Buttered Popcorn, and this is a off-white yellow leaning Crelly base with a bunch of metallic gold glitter in it. There are a few different sizes. So this one is pretty sheer on that first coat. All of the Crellies are. You don't get a ton of glitter out on the first coat, but that's also not like super important on the first coat of acrylic. After 3 coats, which this will definitely need, you'll have plenty of glitter built up. This is another one that I'm trying to do really thin coats with because it does want to move around on me. Not terrible. None of these have been like, oh my gosh, I can't use them, bad. They just need a little bit of extra care. So this one is starting to build up a bit on that second coat, but it is still pretty sheer. The glitter does start to build up really nicely after that second coat too. And because these are not like super huge glitters, but they are larger glitters, they are going to dry textured and they are going to be more difficult to remove if you don't use something like a peel-off base coat. The base does build up a bit more here on that third coat. I can still make out a little bit of nail line if I look really closely. The saving grace for this polish is that it is very, very even. So even though it's not 100% opaque on that third coat, you don't have dark spots or streaks or anything sticking out, and the glitter in there does help distract from that quite a bit as well. But if you look closely, it is still not 100% opaque. But as far as sheer polishes go, it is pretty minor. So that is 3 coats of buttered popcorn. The next polish is called Strawberry Cheesecake, and this is a darker pink metallic glitter. It's actually the same mix of sizes as actually all of the acrylics in this collection, in a slightly milky pink acrylic base. Now this base does have a really, really fine shimmer to it, which I don't think is in the other ones. It's very, very subtle, but it is there. So the base on this one, look at that, that's a brush piece. I don't think I've seen that before. The base on this one is pretty sheer. It looks, I think, extra sheer because it's very similar to my skin tone. But either way, it is still a pretty sheer base, and you do get a good amount of glitter out here. Formula is pretty much the same on this one as the other ones. It feels pretty good, just a little bit thin. But as I'm saying that, keep in mind that I do tend to prefer thicker formulas, so there's a little bit of bias in there as well. So it's hard to tell because this is pretty close to my skin tone, but it does look like the base is building up a little bit in this one on the second coat. And I mentioned that that shimmer is very subtle, but it definitely is still there. It's not like one of those shimmers that just completely disappears. And like the last one, this glitter is going to dry textured and it is going to be difficult to remove, so you will definitely want top coat. So again, building that base up more on the third coat, just like the last polish. This one I think builds up a little bit better though. I really can't see much nail line here at all. Now my nails are fairly short right now, so if you have longer nails or a really white nail line, you might still be able to see it in 3 coats. But like the last one, this one dries pretty evenly, so there aren't any big dark spots or streaks or anything. So if you don't mind your nail line showing, that's going to be a preference thing. You could easily get away with maybe even 2 coats with this one. I just like 3. So that is 3 coats of Strawberry Cheesecake. The next polish is called Peach, and this is a red metallic glitter, same mix of sizes, in an orange, slightly peachy orange, acrylic base. So the base on this one is also a bit sheer on that first coat. Good amount of glitter. Some of the acrylics in this collection have been, the base I think has been like a little bit too sheer. I know acrylics do have to be a little bit more sheer because you don't want to cover the glitter up completely, but I feel like this one is more on par with like an indie acrylic as far as how opaque the base is. And formula feels pretty good on this one as well. I don't know if the formula has gotten a little bit better or if I've just gotten more used to it. So this one actually covers pretty well on that second coat. There's enough glitter in here as well that I think this might be okay in 2. I'm going to let it dry all the way before I call it, just in case it dries a little bit more sheer, but it's looking pretty decent right now. I'm getting some glitters that just don't want to sit right though. And you will want top coat to smooth these out, just like all of the glitters in this collection. Look at that, they're all just sticking to the end of the nail. That might be my fault, I don't know. Okay, so I let this one dry for a couple of minutes, and I think this is actually going to be good in 2. If you have a very white nail line, or you're a little more picky than I'm feeling right now, you might want 3 to cover up some nail line if you have any. I'm right on the edge, but with acrylic like this with glitter in it, I feel like the fewer number of coats I can do, the better, just because glitter tends to build up and get thick really fast, plus I still need top coat. Anyway, I'm good with this in 2, but you might need 3 just depending on your application and your preference. Alright, that is 2 coats of Peach. So the next polish is called Tutti-Fruitti, and this is a rainbow metallic glitter in a lightish purple curly base. Now the curly base in this one is, I guess it's more jelly because there's nothing here. It's practically invisible. And I was very disappointed about this at first, but the glitter did build up fairly nicely when I did my swatch pictures, so we'll see what it does today. You definitely get more coverage out of glitter with this one than with the base, for sure. Now, if I was just want to throw this out here, if I was like painting my nails to actually wear this, I would for sure be going back over my pointer finger right now and trying to force a little bit more glitter out of the bottle and onto how bare that nail is. But since I'm doing this for the video, let's just roll with it and see what happens to this nail after 3 coats. So even on the second coat, there isn't a lot of buildup in the base. And I am doing a little bit of manipulation here to kind of tap some extra glitter that's already on the brush onto this nail because I changed my mind and I don't want it bald after the 3rd coat. If I don't get any glitter on it on the 2nd coat, it's gonna look terrible. So you can see on most of the other nails, maybe I'm just doing a thicker coat on the other nails, I am getting a decent amount of glitter. And I guess the base is building up a little bit. Not a ton, you're still getting most of your coverage out of the glitter. And there is way more glitter in this than in the other Crellies. So on 3 coats of this one, and when I did my swatch pictures and I saw how sheer this was on the 1st coat, I really thought I was going to hate it, but I don't. I really like it actually. After 3 coats, and even after 2 coats, you do get a pretty decent, I say that carefully, purple color from the base. And with the amount of glitter that I got on some of my nails, I think I probably could have just gotten away with 2 coats. I don't really think I needed to like layer this much glitter on. Definitely on my pointer finger because I did thinner coats there. I always tend to do that. I'm not really sure why. But yeah, I would say thinner coats probably needing 3, and slightly thicker coats you would be good with 2. So that is 3 coats of Tutti-Fruitti. The next polish is Green Apple, and this is a green cream. So this one is pretty opaque on that 1st coat. I do have a couple of streaks, but really not many. I don't think it's quite a 1-coater for me, but it is very, very close. And formula on this one feels pretty good as well. So this one, it does cover completely in 2 coats. It was very, very close in 1. I just had a couple of streaks. This might dry just a little tiny bit darker than it applies, but it's barely even noticeable. So that is 2 coats of Green Apple. The next polish is called Very Cherry, and this is a red cream. So this one also covers really well on that 1st coat. I do have a couple of streaks, maybe a little bit of nail line. I'd have to look a bit closer. Yeah, just a little tiny bit of nail line with this one. And I'm going super slow and trying to be very careful because the last thing I want to do is touch the skin on the side of my nail with this wide brush and a red polish, because then I'm going to have red there for the next 2 swatches and that drives me insane. So this one does cover completely on that 2nd coat. It was really close on 1, just a couple of streaks and a little bit of nail line showing. But overall it's pretty even, which is nice. Actually, now that I think about it, I can't think of too many reds that I've used that are actually like streaky and not even. Red creams anyway. As much as I hate reds, I feel like they do perform pretty well on average. So that is 2 coats of Very Cherry. The next polish is Berry Blue, and this is the lighter of 2 blues in the collection. Also just slightly scary for me with a wide brush and a color that's very likely to stain the skin if I flood the cuticle or flood the side of my nail. So this actually, again, covers really well on the 1st coat. These last half of creams have been really good. Just a few streaks that I want to cover up, and good formula on this one as well. So this one does cover completely in 2 coats. I'm covering up some very, very minor imperfections with the 2nd coat. I think if you wanted to like run out the door really quick, you could probably get away with this in 1. And all of the creams so far in this collection have dried shiny. So that is 2 coats of Berry Blue. And the last polish is called Blueberry. Berry Blue and Blueberry. And this is the darker blue cream. And this is the last polish I have to swatch today, so I can paint this one all the way up to my knuckle and it won't make any difference. I'll still try to be careful. This covers pretty well on that 1st coat. Just a couple of streaks again, but pretty minor overall. I feel like I'm doing extra thin coats of this one as well. And good formula. So this one does cover completely in 2 coats. It just had a few streaks or sheer spots that I wanted to cover up. And this one also dries pretty shiny. And you know, I realize these are Insta-Dry polishes, but I've never actually paid attention to if they dry faster or how much faster they dry than your average polish. I should probably pay attention to that next time. I think I've always just kind of assumed that the Insta-Dry thing was a gimmick, but maybe I'll actually have to compare. Anyway, that is 2 coats of Blueberry. Obviously, these glitter Corellis are going to be my favorite. I'm not even sure which one I like the most. I do really like Tutti-Fruitti because it has major Deborah Lippman Happy Birthday vibes just with a purple base, and it's not like $18. But I do think that Buttered Popcorn is going to be my favorite because I feel like it's the most unique out of the bunch, the gold glitter and like that yellowy off-white base. The kitties are running. So that is the Sally Hansen Insta-Dry Jelly Belly collaboration collection. Again, those are popping up in drugstores and pretty much anywhere you can find the usual Insta-Dry collections about now. I can't guarantee you'll be able to find them right now, but hopefully soon. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later. Bye.